Let me tell you something that might surprise you. When a woman cancels plans because she's tired, she's not always telling you the full truth. And most men, they respond in a way that completely kills attraction. They either guilt trip her, over pursue, or just accept it and wait. All wrong moves. Here's the reality from a woman's perspective. That tired excuse is often a subconscious test. And I'm going to show you the exact 3-step method to know what's really happening. If you're here, you've probably experienced this. She cancels with, "I'm so tired," and you're left wondering if she's genuinely exhausted or if something else is going on. Most men take it at face value, say, "No problem," and then wait for her to reschedule. And that's exactly where they lose. Here's the truth from a woman's perspective. When we say we're tired, sometimes we mean it. But other times, it's a way to test how you'll react. It's not always conscious. Most women don't sit there thinking, "I'm going to cancel and see what he does." It's instinctive. A way to see if you'll chase, guilt trip, or if you'll stay grounded. And here's what you need to understand. This isn't about one cancellation. It's about patterns. If she cancels once because she genuinely had a rough week, that's normal. But if tired becomes her go-to excuse every time plans come up, you're not dealing with exhaustion. You're dealing with avoidance. So today, I'm going to walk you through the exact 3-step method to test what's really happening. Step 1. Offer a low-energy alternative. Step 2. Gauge her enthusiasm level. Step 3. Read her body language and follow through. By the end of this, you'll know exactly how to interpret her response and how to maintain your value no matter what the test reveals. First, you need to understand why women use tired as an excuse in the first place. Here's what most men don't realize. When a woman uses tired as an excuse, she's choosing it very deliberately, even if she doesn't consciously recognize it. It's a protection mechanism, a way to decline without confrontation, without hurting your feelings, and without fully closing the door. Think about it from a woman's perspective. Saying, "I don't want to see you tonight," feels harsh. It requires her to own the rejection directly. But saying, "I'm so tired," feels softer. It gives her an out, gives you an out, and keeps everything vague enough that no one has to deal with uncomfortable truth. But here's the part that will surprise you. When a woman is genuinely interested in you, exhaustion becomes irrelevant. She finds the energy. I've seen women work 12-hour shifts, come home completely drained, and still get ready to see a man they're excited about. Why? Because attraction creates energy. Interest fuels action. So when she cancels because she's tired, what she's really saying is this. Her interest level isn't high enough to override her desire for comfort. And that's the truth most women would never admit out loud. We don't sit there thinking, "I'm going to test him." It's instinctive, subconscious. But it happens. Now, here's where it gets deeper. Her tired excuse also serves as a test. She's watching how you respond. Do you guilt trip her? That signals insecurity. Do you over-pursue with multiple texts or calls? That signals low value. Do you just accept it with no reaction? That can signal either strength or indifference, and she's trying to figure out which one. Most women don't consciously realize they're testing you. But psychologically, we're always assessing, is he needy? Is he grounded? Does he respect my boundaries? Or will he pressure me? Your reaction to her cancellation reveals more about your value than anything you could say on an actual date. And here's the kicker. Sometimes, tired is genuinely just tired. A woman who's truly exhausted, truly overwhelmed, will still show signs of interest in other ways. She'll apologize more genuinely. She'll initiate rescheduling quickly. She'll feel bad about canceling. That's the difference between genuine exhaustion and avoidance. But if her energy excuse becomes a pattern, if tired shows up every time plans come around, you're not dealing with a busy woman. You're dealing with a woman who's avoiding investment. And the only way to know for sure is to test it yourself. That's where the 3-step method comes in. And step 1 is the most revealing. Step 1 is simple but incredibly revealing. The moment she cancels with, "I'm tired," you immediately offer a low-energy alternative. Not tomorrow. Not later. Right then. Here's exactly what this sounds like. She texts, "Hey, I'm so tired tonight. Can we reschedule?" You respond with something like, "No problem. Want to just come over and watch a movie instead?" Low key, no pressure. Or if you're already planning to meet somewhere, that's fine. Want to skip dinner and just grab coffee for 30 minutes instead? The key is this. You're offering something that requires almost no energy, no getting dressed up, no elaborate planning. Just a simple, comfortable option that any genuinely tired person would actually appreciate. Now, here's why this works. If she's truly exhausted, a low-energy alternative is perfect. She gets to see you without the pressure of a full date. It's considerate. It's understanding. And most women who are genuinely interested will either say yes or feel genuinely apologetic about declining. But if she's avoiding you, if her tired excuse is really about low interest, watch what happens. She'll find another reason. "I'm just too tired for anything tonight." Or "I really need to stay in and rest." Or the classic, "Maybe another time." That's the tell. Because if someone truly wants to see you, they'll find a way. Even a small way. Here's a real example. Imagine she cancels saying she's exhausted from work. You offer to bring takeout to her place and just hang out. If she's interested, even if she's truly tired, she'll likely say yes. Why? Because it's effortless for her, and she gets to see someone she's excited about. But if she comes up with another excuse, "My place is a mess," or "I'm just going to sleep early," that's avoidance. She's not too tired. She's too uninterested. And here's what you need to pay attention to. The speed of her response matters. A woman who's genuinely tired but interested will reply relatively quickly with appreciation. "That's so sweet, but I really need to just crash tonight." Notice the tone. Apologetic. Warm. She feels bad. But a woman who's avoiding you will either take forever to respond or give you something cold and vague. Also, notice the language she uses. Does she acknowledge your offer specifically? "Thank you for being understanding about the movie idea. I just really need sleep tonight." That's genuine. Or does she brush past it entirely? "Yeah, I just can't tonight." That's avoidance. Here's the thing most men get wrong. They offer the alternative. Get enough, and then they either push harder or just accept it and wait. Both are mistakes. Pushing makes you look desperate. Just accepting without reading the signs makes you look clueless. What you do instead is this. You take her response as data. You're not trying to convince her. You're testing her interest level. So step 1 gives you your first piece of information. But you're not done yet. Her response to the alternative is just the beginning. Step 2 is where you gauge the deeper truth about her enthusiasm level. Now that you've offered the low-energy alternative, step 2 is all about reading her response. Not just what she says, but how she says it. The energy behind her words. The enthusiasm level. This is where most men miss the signs completely. Here's what genuine enthusiasm looks like. She says something like, "Oh, that's so sweet of you. I'd love, but I really need to get some sleep tonight. Can we do that tomorrow instead?" Notice what's happening here. She's appreciative. She's warm. And most importantly, she's offering an alternative herself. She wants to see you. The tiredness is real, but so is her interest. Compare that to lukewarm enthusiasm. Yeah, maybe. Let me see how I feel. Or, I'll let you know. Or even just, I don't think so. But thanks. The energy is flat. There's no appreciation. No effort to reschedule. She's not saying yes, but she's not fully saying no either. She's keeping you in limbo. And here's the truth from a woman's perspective. When we say maybe or I'll let you know, we usually mean no. We just don't want to say it directly. Then there's cold enthusiasm. This is the clearest signal. No, I'm just going to stay in. I really can't. Another time. Short. Closed off. No warmth. No apology. She's not even acknowledging the effort you made to offer something easier. That's avoidance. She's not tired. She's uninterested. But here's where it gets even more telling. Pay attention to the energy paradox. If she claims she's too tired for your low-energy alternative, but then you see her posting on social media an hour later, that's everything you need to know. She had energy. Just not for you. I've seen women say they're too exhausted to hang out, and then go meet up with friends or stay up scrolling online for hours. The energy is there. The interest isn't. Now, let's talk about timing. How quickly does she respond to your alternative offer? A woman who's genuinely tired but interested will usually reply fairly quickly. Even if it's to decline, she doesn't want to leave you hanging. She respects your time. But a woman who's avoiding you, she'll either take forever to respond or give you a delayed, low-effort reply. The delay itself is a message. She's hoping you'll just forget about it or move on. And here's another critical detail. Does she suggest an alternative time or plan herself? This is huge. If she says, I can't tonight, but how about this weekend? That's genuine interest. She's taking responsibility for rescheduling. She's investing. But if she just declines without offering anything, the burden falls back on you. And that imbalance tells you everything. She's not matching your effort. Here's the reality. Enthusiasm can't be faked for long. A woman who wants to see you will show it through her words, her tone, her timing, and her willingness to make it work. A woman who doesn't will give you excuses, vague responses, and emotional distance. But you're still not done gathering information. Step 2 gives you her verbal and emotional data. Step 3 is where you watch what she does, not just what she says. Step 3 is where the truth becomes undeniable. Words lie. Enthusiasm can be performed, but actions tell the real story. And this is the layer most men never think to check. Here's the first thing to watch. Who initiates rescheduling? If she's genuinely tired but interested, she'll bring it up herself. Within a day or two, you'll get a message. Hey, I'm so sorry about canceling exhaustion. Are you free this weekend? She feels bad. She wants to make it right. She's putting in effort. That's genuine interest. But if days go by and you hear nothing, that's your answer. She canceled, and then she disappeared into silence. No follow-up. No apology. No suggestion for when to meet. She's waiting for you to do all the work. And here's the truth from a woman's perspective. When we're avoiding someone, we hope the situation just fades away on its own. We don't want to reschedule. We want you to stop asking. Now, here's something you need to pay close attention to. If you happen to see her in person within 24 to 48 hours after she canceled for being tired, watch her energy level. Is she moving slowly? Does she actually look exhausted? Or is she laughing, socializing, fully engaged with everyone around her? If she has energy for other people, but claims she was too tired for you, that's not exhaustion. That's selective energy. She had it. She just didn't want to spend it on you. And let's talk about social media. I'm not saying you should obsess over her accounts or stalk her every move, but if she cancels saying she's exhausted and needs to rest, and then an hour later she's posting stories, liking posts, or out with friends, that contradiction tells you everything. She wasn't too tired. She was too uninterested. Women do this more than you think. We say we need a quiet night, and then we end up going out or staying active online because we're not actually drained. We just didn't want to see that specific person. Here's another critical observation. How does her overall investment shift after the cancellation? Does she still text you throughout the week? Does she initiate conversations? Or does her communication drop off entirely? A woman who's genuinely interested will maintain connection even if she had to cancel once. But a woman who's pulling away will go quiet. She'll respond when you reach out, but she won't reach out herself. The effort becomes one-sided. And here's the ultimate test. Does she make any effort to make it up to you? Does she suggest a specific plan? Does she offer to come to you instead of making you travel? Does she show she values your time? Or does she just expect you to keep trying until she finally feels like saying yes? That imbalance is everything. A woman who respects you will match your effort. A woman who doesn't will let you do all the chasing. So now you've completed all 3 steps. You offered the alternative. You read her enthusiasm. You watched her behavior. You have all the data you need. The question now is, what does it all mean? And how do you interpret what you've discovered? Here's how you know. If she passed all 3 steps, she accepted or suggested the low-energy alternative. Her enthusiasm was warm and genuine, and she initiated rescheduling within a day or 2. That's genuine exhaustion with real interest. She's tired, but she values you. Give her the benefit of the doubt. She's showing effort. But if she failed the first step, declined your alternative with another excuse, or went cold, that's avoidance starting to show. And if she failed step 2, gave you lukewarm or vague responses, no appreciation, no alternative suggestions, you're looking at low interest. She's keeping you as an option, not a priority. Now, if she failed all 3 steps, declined the alternative, showed no enthusiasm, and never followed up to reschedule, that's complete avoidance. She's not tired. She's uninterested. And the sooner you accept that, the better. Here are the red flags you can't ignore. If tired becomes her excuse more than once in a 2-week period, that's a pattern, not coincidence. If she cancels, claims exhaustion, but you see her active on social media or out with friends that same night, that's selective energy. If she never initiates rescheduling and always puts the burden back on you, that's low investment. And if her communication drops off entirely after canceling, barely responding unless you reach out first, that's pulling away. Compare that to green flags. She apologizes sincerely. She suggests a specific time to meet again. She follows through on that plan without flaking. She maintains normal communication even after canceling. She shows she values your time and feels genuinely bad about the inconvenience. Those are signs of real tiredness with genuine interest. And here's the truth most men need to hear. One cancellation doesn't define anything. Life happens. People get genuinely exhausted. But 2 or 3 tired excuses in a short span, that's her telling you something without saying it directly. Your attention is becoming a burden, not something she looks forward to. Trust the pattern, not the exception. Trust her actions, not just her words. And trust yourself enough to recognize when someone isn't matching your energy. That's when you need to know how to respond with strength and self-respect. No matter what the test reveals, here's how you maintain your value. If she genuinely passed all 3 steps, be understanding. Respond with something simple like, "No problem. Get some rest. Let me know when you're free." You're showing you're secure, not needy, and you trust her enough to give her space without games. But if she failed the test, here's what you don't do. Don't guilt trip her. Don't send multiple texts asking what's wrong. Don't demand explanations or try to convince her she's making a mistake. That's low-value behavior. It signals desperation, and it pushes her further away. Instead, do this. Match her energy. If she's pulling back, you pull back too. Keep your response calm and brief. "All right, no worries. Take care." And then you create space. You don't chase. You don't over-explain. You let her feel the shift. When you stop pursuing someone who's avoiding you, they notice. And if they had any interest at all, that distance will make them reconsider. Here's the truth. Your time and attention are valuable. If someone doesn't see that, walking away with your self-respect intact is always the right move. You're not trying to manipulate her into wanting you. You're simply refusing to chase someone who isn't meeting you halfway. That's strength. That's how you win, regardless of the outcome. So remember this. When she cancels saying she's tired, it's not always the truth. Test it. Offer the low-energy alternative. Read her enthusiasm. Watch her follow through. The data tells you everything. And your response determines whether attraction grows or dies. I want to hear from you. Have you ever experienced this pattern? Drop your story in the comments. I'll be reading because these conversations matter. Hit subscribe. Share this with a brother who needs it. That's how you stay in control.